Hey guys, welcome back to the MDs2B Podcast. This is our last episode, and today we're going to be talking about gap years. We're going to bring up a few pros and cons that we've come across, as well as discuss what we think about gap years ourselves. So just a few pros for gap years. You can travel, you can relax before med school, you can volunteer, you can find a job. I heard a few people that went to another country to teach English. You can add a lot of research hours onto your resume. Another good thing that can come out of a gap year is that you can talk about it in an interview when you eventually apply to med school. You can discuss in detail how you grew from the experience as well as why it will make you a better physician in the future. And med schools love to hear this. It can also look really good on your CV, and there's a lot of good post-bac programs that can really enhance your intellect and enhance your ability to succeed in medical school.
These post-bac programs are known as post-baccalaureate pre-medical programs, and the AAMC actually has a list of all these. And the main goal of these programs is they're either graduate programs or considered to be extensions of your undergrad that will allow you to show that you can handle the academic rigors of medical school. Maybe you didn't have the best academic experience in undergrad. Maybe you partied a little bit too much, and that's completely fine. But these post-bac programs allow you to prove to the medical school, hey, that maybe even if your MCAT isn't that high, you can clearly show I'm taking coursework at the level of graduate education, so that means I am ready for the medical school education, and you can believe in me. So they are a great program and a great way to spend your gap year if that's what you're interested in. Although be warned, they can be a little bit pricey.
There's also a couple cons to taking a gap year. A couple of these are starting medical school a year later, so that just adds on one more year to your life before you'll be done with all your schooling and training. You could also risk losing your academic momentum. Sometimes taking a year off of school can be pretty detrimental to your academic performance. You might not remember how to study, might not remember how to stay motivated, so that's something to take into account as well. Also, it can be pretty expensive to spend a year off, and medical school is already expensive, and you'll just be earning a doctor's salary 1 year later. So it just can be adding on to the mountains of debt that you'll be accumulating throughout medical school.
Although, keep in mind, it isn't always a bad idea to take that 1 year off if you're just thinking about the financials of it. Because if you think about it, that in that 1 year, you could learn a lot about yourself and a lot about how you like to study, and that could propel you even further in medical school and allow you to get that nicer residency position and allow you to get that nicer practicing position once you graduate residency. So it can pay off in itself. And at the end of the day, if you aren't ready for med school, you aren't ready for med school. So sometimes a year just to prepare yourself, learn more about yourself, and take that time to decompress from undergrad can be a godsend.
And I know when we were applying to med schools, I'm sure we all debated on whether or not we wanted to take gap years. So we would ask people that had done it before us on what went into their decision onto whether or not they took a gap year. So many students wish they had taken a gap year in order to have a longer break after undergrad. This could be good because it's time to de-stress and decompress before going into the rigors of a medical school academic workload. They also wish they had earned more money before starting medical school. So that's some reasons why people that didn't take a gap year kind of wish they did take a gap year. Also, students that did take a gap year sometimes regret taking that gap year because they feel as they're behind the people that just went straight into med school. Many people believe that they don't use their gap year to their fullest and would have been better off just starting med school anyways. Many people said that being out of school for a whole year caused them to have a hard time transitioning to med school because they found it hard to get back into a studying rhythm.
So it seems to be, at least with the people that we've interviewed, and there's always going to be some element of wondering what would have happened if you did the other option, whether you took a gap year and you wish you hadn't, or you didn't take a gap year and you wish you had. But at the end of the day, there's no real clear answer. It's more of just what you want to do, and you'll be fine either way. There's plenty of pros and cons to being a traditional student and also being not a traditional student.
With that being said, that actually concludes our short podcast series, the MDs2B series. Thank you so much for those of you listeners at home who went with us through all these episodes. It really means a lot to us that you guys cared, and we hope and pray for the best of you guys' health and pre-medical times in these weird times of Corona.
We hope we offered some valuable information and gave you some insight into the whole process and what it means to apply to medical school, be a pre-med, and help you along your journey. Stay safe and healthy, and good luck, everyone.